So welcome to the Flooring CEO podcast. My name is Bram van Leuteren. I'm the owner of Floor Launch. We work with more than 150 flooring companies across the United States, helping generate more flooring jobs. And this podcast specifically is about helping you generate more jobs, more revenue, more freedom, more money, whatever you want to basically achieve within your flooring company. We'll be able to talk about that and go deeper into that. So basically the whole outlining of this podcast is to talk about and think about if you're actually being a flooring CEO or just being a contractor or just a retailer that's owning you instead of you owning the business, right? So that's the whole purpose of the podcast, right? So essentially, because there is a business between owning a business and a business owning you, right? So what that means is that a lot of retailers and contractors that we work with and I've seen is that a lot of times they start out as a good installer, right? They're a great installer and they know how to deliver the service, right? There's some people who actually buy a company as well. That's something happens as well. But then what happens, they start doing estimates themselves or at least like running the operations themselves or being the project manager. And basically what happens at one point is that instead of you being an actual entrepreneur trying to grow the business, what happens is that you basically get so much distractions of the operations of the day-to-day of what needs to happen, right? Like get all the purchase orders in place, do all the marketing, do all the sales, do all the project management, do all the finances, right? There's so much stuff to do. And a lot of times people actually forget to think about, hey, who should I hire? Who should I put in place? Like how should the business look like? What's the different stages in the evolution of the company to actually grow this business? That's exactly why I think that it's so important to actually take matters into your own hands or really try to build your own business, build the whole organizational structure. And that's exactly what I'm going to deep dive on each kind of different subjects with this podcast, right? So, because I think that the actual flooring CEO, how that looks like, what we're striving towards, right? All of us flooring retailers is working on the business, right? Having someone else do the estimates, run the showroom, do the operations side, right? Have a project manager, being able to afford them as well, right? Like how do you keep your margins? How do you keep your average tickets up? So obviously we're going to talk about marketing, sales, operations, finances, and everything that I come across on a day-to-day basis with working on with clients on a one-on-one basis. And I hope you can get some inspiration and maybe some input out of there, right? So I think the first thing that's very important to understand as well is that eventually you as a founder, you are a money-making machine. So what that means is you should be able to get money into the door, right? That's the most important skill in every business, right? If you're not able to like make it rain inside of your flooring business, then you're basically focusing on the wrong things, right? I'm not saying that always will be the case, but especially if you're that 500K, 1 million, 2 million a year range, you still really have to like be a go-getter to really drive revenue forward until you can actually hire like good CMOs, good head of sales to actually run all of those departments for you. And the thing is, if you're able to actually remove yourself more from the day-to-day operations, you're going to free up so much time to actually focus on marketing, the sales process, the whole equation behind it, and how to actually expand and expand with either like expanding inside of your own location or also expanding into multiple locations as well, right? So I think obviously me as a marketer, I'm always prone towards like, hey, how can we actually make the marketing and sales processes better to actually help you grow even more? And I think that's something that I've seen with a lot of retailers, that they're so busy with the day-to-day operations that sort of this marketing and sales process is sort of like pushed towards the back. They were like, I'll just try to outsource it. And mind you, like if you hire, for example, us, right, as a marketing agency, there's definitely a lot of things that we can do, but still it's a partnership, right? We work very closely with Jerry Levinson, which is a sales coach in the space as well. And we were talking about this, like we are able to get leads, or even if your marketing team is able to get leads with you yourself, but then still to actually follow up with them, close them inside the home, or even through like a normal estimate process, right? There's so much that comes with it to actually make it work. And it's so important to actually stay on top of the ball to get that going. So So for example, like there's a few important questions that you should be able to like answer yourself, right? So for example, is what's my cost per lead per channel, right? So each marketing channel, which is obviously the digital marketing one, so SEO, paid advertising, so broken down by channel as well, like Google ads, Google local service ads, meta ads, TikTok ads, even if you're running that. But also your channel is also could be walk-ins, right? Could be referrals, could be sponsorships at the local gym or the local soccer club, right? You're really trying to dial down all of those numbers to really try to make good decisions on data, right? So that's a question that you should ask. What's my close rate inside the business? Is it improving? And how am I going to improve that, right? There should be dedicated times every week that you're like, hey, how can we actually increase the close rate, or how can we expand the sales team? These are very important questions that a lot of retailers actually don't think to ask, right? Even though they're so important, right? And also, like, if you're looking for more resources around that, we'll definitely handle like specific things around that, like how to reduce cost per lead, how to increase your close rate on this podcast. So please stay tuned. Also, a very important question to ask yourself as well is, who's the next person I need to hire, right? What's my organizational chart? What will it look like once I am doing, let's say, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, maybe $1 million a month in revenue, right? How does a team look like? How are, let's say, all of the projects being managed? How many people do you need in the showroom? How many like salespeople do you actually need to have? And then you can also anticipate on that part by knowing like, hey, okay, we're going to hit that revenue number. We already need to look for a new project manager right now, right? Or at one point we are going to need an installation manager specifically just for the installation part, because a project manager isn't able to actually handle that part anymore, right? Or we need a specific purchasing manager just to make sure that all of the purchase orders and all of the stores can actually communicate with that purchase manager to basically take care of all of the like ordering and all of the back orders and like the ETA towards the customers. It's like there's so much stuff to like think about if you're thinking about an organizational chart, which is so important. And then also asking yourself the question like, hey, if I took 2 weeks off, what would break, right? What is running inside of the business right now that still requires your attention? And that's exactly what you should be focusing on, to be like, is this really my biggest leverage task, right? Is it the biggest bottleneck inside the business, which is essentially all that it comes down to, right? Because business basically is decision making, but like at a very high level, right? Is decision like making good decisions, and what you're trying to find is the biggest bottleneck in your current business. So that might be marketing, it might be sales, maybe it might be operations, not being able to like handle more clients, right? And you as the founder should always be working on the biggest bottleneck, right? Especially in the flooring business, there's so much going on. There's so much clients calling you, referrals, operations, right? Like there's so much different moving parts. So that's even more the reason why you should be focused and really trying to ask yourself the right questions. And we're going to dive into a few of these questions every week in this podcast to actually showcase a lot more on how we think about this and how we help our flooring partners actually grow with answering these questions. So ask yourself these questions, right? So if you run a flooring business, retail, a showroom, contractor, multi-locations, franchise, doesn't really matter, and you want to become like a real good flooring CEO, this is the show right for you. Every episode I'm going to talk about any kind of different subject that I come across, or maybe that's top of mind for me that I'm seeing with one of our clients, or some kind of wins, losses, whatever I'm seeing that might be of value for you guys is going to be in here. So thank you very much and stay tuned. See you next time. Bye-bye.